Our next storyteller on the Legacy edition is the wonderful and just amazing KimLuke. And she likes to call herself a Santa Cruz gal about town. She's a performer, a host, MC for countless events and organizations, including the Sin Sisters Burlesque, which, by the way, when we get back to being able to gather together, less than 6 feet apart, I highly recommend. The Santa Cruz Derby Girls, let's hear it for SCDG, Santa Cruz Warriors, fashion shows, award shows, and more. You can follow her on Instagram at Madam Luke Official for, as she likes to put it, all kinds of precious bullshit. And she really just wants you to like her. Well, Kim, darling, I don't think that's very hard. A lot of people like you. And I cannot wait to hear your amazing story. Put your slothiness together for Madam KimLuke.
Thank you so much, Louisa. I do a good sloth hand because have you ever seen a baby sloth? Oh, they're so beautiful. Anyway, thanks for having me. I'm Kim, and this is my first storytelling show. And it was really interesting preparing for this and fighting the urge to make everything funny, which is funny because I'm going to talk about my dad, and he really preferred things to be funny, sort of. I'm using notes on note cards because I care about you. So this summer was the anniversary of my dad's passing. I didn't really mark it in a big way. And honestly, on a day-to-day basis, yeah, I never really think, oh, I wish Dad was here. Now that sounds bad, but it's not. I don't mean it in a bad way. I really mean it in kind of, well, like, I feel like he never left. And that sounds weird. And I don't mean it in a weird way, not like a ghosty way, but I mean it in like an influence and a presence kind of way. I'm a lot like my dad, for better and for worse. We spent a lot of time together, so I really think I know how his mind worked, the way that he thought, again, you know, for better or for worse. So when something happens now in my day-to-day life, where someone else might say, oh, I wish Dad was here to see that, I don't say that because my mind produces this clip of exactly what my dad would say. For instance, my kids played volleyball. And at a volleyball game, let's say it's a moment where one of them makes this amazing, brutal kill or hit or something just awesome. I can hear my dad say to me, boy, he's really hurting that guy's feelings. Because that's exactly what my dad would say. He never said that to me, but I know that's exactly what he would say. So it's really fantastic. Like, even now he's contributing in such an amusing way to my inner dialogue. I think I'm definitely going to consider him for my writing staff. He had a way with words. He had a way with delivery. Sometimes not so nice. One time I was home visiting when I was living out of town, and in conversation I happened to mention that I had lost 10 pounds. And his reply to that was, I don't think so. Classic dad. But my dad also said good things that really stuck with me. You know, lessons, advice, helpful hints, and two things especially that I'm going to talk about tonight. And the first one, I can still hear him say it, is pay attention. This is important. Now, it sounds like he's about to launch into a lecture, right? Or he's going to bestow some great wisdom, maybe how the stock market works or how to gap a spark plug, but that's not when he said that. He would say that about art or cultural things. He would say that about music or a specific song or a movie or a play or even just a particular scene. So here's how it would go sometimes when it was music. He would say, pay attention, this is important. And then he would turn the stereo. He would turn it up as high as it would go, as loud as it could go. He would close his eyes and he would start to, conduct his imaginary orchestra. Now that would be 8 or 12 bars if I was lucky, but it would be all of La Traviata if I wasn't lucky. Which, I mean, in retrospect, that's pretty good for unlucky. If it was something groovier, like let's just say for the sake of argument, Hotel California, because it was quite frequently Hotel California, he wouldn't conduct an orchestra. And thank God he would not play air guitar. But what he would do is he would like nod his head and point, like, right? So it would turn it up and say, pay attention, this is important. And then it would like, there's Don Felder. Then there's, Glenn Fry or the other guy. Don Henley, Glenn Fry. And then, can you beat that, he'd say. And other genres, he might play some air instruments, but really it was only so that he was sure that I was paying attention to the right thing, right? Like the mandolin on Nana Muscuri albums, right? Or the pan flute on Fernando by ABBA, or every single oddball instrument on Sgt. Pepper. Can you believe that? I did believe it and I didn't believe it. I mean, movies were the same. Every Peter Sellers movie was important. And in retrospect, he was absolutely correct. But after any funny scene, he would never laugh. He would never, ever laugh. But he would make eye contact with me. And he would hit his chest like he'd been hitten with an arrow, like dipped in genius. It would be like, oh, can you believe that? Which, when I think about it, is probably why I'm a terrible audience member. Terrible. If you're on stage and you're hilarious, I'm the asshole sitting in the audience going, that was good. I'm the worst and I apologize. Can you beat that? Blame dad, right? Now there's a few other things that my dad considered important that I was told to pay attention to, and in no particular order, here's just some of the things that came to mind immediately. Monty Python, Edith Piaf, Ernie Kovacs, Gilbert and Sullivan, Joe Cocker, Leon Redbone, Gustav Klimt, and Yosemite, all of it. So he wasn't wrong. And I do this to my kids now, but I'm really trickier about it. Like Tuesday night, I convinced my 2 sons to watch Pillow Talk, which is, I mean, it's peak Doris Day and Rock Hudson. It's important. Of course, I think it's important for a lot of reasons, but that's a conversation for another day. But anyway, they did watch it and they enjoyed it. And they quoted Tony Randall's character all night. What more could I really wish for, right? So the second thing my dad would say, besides paying attention, this is important, is he would say, it's important to be interesting. Well, duh. I mean, as a young child, it felt like a warning. Like if I wasn't interesting, maybe I wasn't going to hold his attention, That's devastating. But then as a teenager, it sounded like kind of an accusation. Like he would sort of say it, the way we say now, like, oh, good story, dude, after a particularly bad story. Yeah, I kind of felt like he used it that way, like, it's important to be interesting, you know. So anyway, uh, I really appreciate this lesson now, because as an adult, I can see many other adults who clearly did not grow up with this missive. Didn't have this thrown at them their entire life like I did. And as a, how do I say this delicately? As a person experiencing dating, I think there are quite a few people who do not think it's important to be interesting. I think a lot of people think it's important to be rich. And I think there's a lot of people who think it's important to be good looking. I'm here to tell you that's not enough. I learned not only was it important for me to be interesting, but you know what? It's important for you to be interesting. There, I said it. So my dad set the bar pretty high. He could talk to anybody about anything. He was pretty incredible at that. And now here's another list. For instance, these are the things that came to mind when I think about him waxing poetic. No particular order. World War II, catamarans, the Mikado, photography, the superiority of dogs over cats, architecture and interior design, Gene Wilder, German engineering, driving fast and how to straighten a curve, real estate, the unlimited uses of Velcro, and again, World War II. So is this my dad's legacy? These 2 bits of advice? I thought so for a long time. I would just, spout these things off. But then the more I think about it, and really the more I say these things to my kids, the more I'm recognizing the motivation behind what he said. So his legacy has become so much more personal to me. And I'm just going to tell you why, but you already knew that, didn't you? Okay. Pay attention. This is important. Well, it's important to know what moves you. It's important to take in a wide palette of experiences so that you know what you love, so that you do love something. His important things didn't always turn out to be my important things, but he established in me the precedent to find them and pay attention to them. Good lesson. Okay, 2. It's important to be interesting. Because what is the alternative? What are the consequences of not being interesting? Don't do that to people. Don't do that to yourself. Don't ever be bored. Don't ever be boring. And of course, the process of becoming interesting, well, that's a fantastic lifelong endeavor. I mean, see bullet point above about what's important. I mean, it never ends. Then again, he might have been trying to let me know that I was never going to be rich or good looking. I don't know. You never know. He had a way. So that's my legacy story of my dad. I think it's still growing. It's still formulating. And I'm still intertwined with him. He's in my head. Thank you for paying attention while I tried to be interesting. And Dad, thank you. I appreciate what I learned from you mostly. And to this, my dad would say, I do my best. And that's a story for another day.